I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario. With grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold, a drill program will commence this spring to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork. For more information, visit our website, rmroyalty.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick. He's a natural resource specialist. He's at UncommonWisdomDaily.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me on.
Silver, you said there's a number of plays going on. For example, I've also heard that because it's not just something pretty, it's also an industrial metal. It's being used up at a rate perhaps faster than it's being dug out of the ground.
Yeah, we're actually in a multi-year deficit. Isn't that interesting? And the price of silver doesn't really seem to reflect that yet. We'll have to see what's happening. One of the interesting things about silver is in the global ETFs that hold silver, there's been a massive accumulation of silver recently. Whereas gold has been flat since late March, silver has added about 8 million ounces. And, that's since mid-April, actually. But you have to wonder, what do those global investors see that they're picking up so much silver now? And, there are many, many forces. One is that, pure silver mines are rare, and I can count the number of new projects that I'm actively interested in on two hands, actually less than two hands. And about two-thirds of silver comes as a byproduct of other metals. Other metals haven't had the greatest time either. The chance of silver production increasing is actually pretty low. In fact, the ore that comes out of mines keeps falling in grade because, of course, they're miners. They'll mine the higher quality stuff first. So it's just a slippery slope on that. And then when you look at the demand from solar, and the weird thing about solar is as much as they keep raising the estimates of how much new solar will be built, they keep underestimating it. And so, they get more efficient in their use of silver in the solar power industry over time, but still, that's just a massive play out there. And so, silver looks good. In fact, as you and I talk, gold is down slightly, silver is up. Now, I wish this was reflected in the silver mining stocks. They really are just kind of sitting there. I'm just picking them up on weakness, but, it's really kind of interesting right now. In fact, the gold miners, back last week when gold was having a great week, the gold miners really just kind of sat there. So, until the miners take off, I think it'll be hard for the metals to really do well because usually the metals lead usually the miners lead the metals. And so, that's what I would watch for my big indicator. That's where you'll see the next indicator that we're going to see a big bull run in both gold and silver.
Why are people reluctant to pick up gold and silver mining stock?
I think because you can make so much money in tech so easily right now, it's crazy. There are some tech stocks, and I think they're ridiculously overvalued, but I never was much of a tech investor outside of cybersecurity and stuff like that because I like to know what I invest, and I've been scared on cybersecurity issues quite a few times, so I actually know that one pretty well. But when you see the amount of money people are willing to pay for growth, and tech is one area where you can still find a lot of growth, I think that's what it is. It's money chasing money right now. We're seeing a lot of that. And at some point, this game of musical chairs will stop, and people will look at real values. I think there are values in precious metals. In fact, I've been on the phone with a few CEOs who really have some exciting projects, one of which I'll go visit soon. And I think that there's, this will sound crazy, but I think that there's real value in the oil fields right now. I'm especially talking about oil services stocks because even though, we are hearing a couple of these companies say they're actually raising the rates that they charge, and even though the projections of earnings for these companies are going up, the stocks are going down. I think many people don't believe in oil industry revival. They think that new production, not just from the shale oil fields in North America, but around the world, places like Libya and Iraq and stuff like that, they believe that will flood the market. But, there's been a lot of good analysis on this. And yeah, we'll see more coming from the shale fields. You bet there will be more. But really, when you look at it, there is going to be a lessening of global stockpiles, and that usually will put a bid under the price. And if oil companies can make money at current prices, they are going to drill more. And if they drill more, they'll need oil services. So I think there's a very virtuous cycle starting there right now. I think that's one place really that people need to look.
What about the Trump announcement he plans to sell off half the strategic reserve of oil?
That is important. But yes, he announced that. When? There's no time frame attached. And how will it be sold? And so there's actually quite a lot that's up in the air, and it has to go through a budgetary process and all that stuff. Now, personally, I think selling off half wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We will have an oil crisis down the road. You can bet we will. But, you have to adjust with the times, and the U.S. is such an oil producer now that we really don't need the strategic petroleum reserve the way we used to. And because when we really depended on imported oil so much, we needed to have something to replace that if those imports were cut off again. Well, now we're exporting to the world and all over the place, so that's something we can actually, I think, lower the strategic petroleum reserve, but exactly how it'll be done, no one has any idea. It'll probably be a long series of sales, slowly lowering things into the market because, a great many people in his administration are oil men, and they don't want to crash the market more than anyone else. So I expect that it'll take quite some time, and that's not the big bugaboo that some people are making it out to be.
Plus, you do have a natural oil reserve in Canada.
Yes, well, we rely on you for a lot, that's for sure. One thing that's not looking so good is natural gas. In fact, a shipment was recently turned back from Britain simply because they have too much. And that's partly because of global weather patterns. There's we have to get into this thing how there's a patch of water out in the Pacific, and it affects rainfall and how cool or hot things are in North America. And that sounds crazy, but that's just how global weather has always worked, is this huge interconnected system. And so now there is a patch of water out in the Pacific, and so it's going through a cycle. And so it might be a cooler summer than some people were expecting here in North America. If it is, that's really going to weigh on North American natural gas demand. Now, we are exporting a lot more of it, but we're also probably going to see production crank up. And the reason isn't from people looking for natural gas. It's the natural gas that's produced as a byproduct from oil exploration, oil production. There's a tremendous amount produced from that, and so that's probably what we're going to see happen. And in the meantime, like I just said, they have so much natural gas in Europe, or at least in Britain, that they said, we don't need any more. So the bottom just fell out of the spot market there. Now I'm sure it'll come back next week or something. They will need natural gas at some point. But that just shows you what can happen in a market like this. And so natural gas had a bad day today, down about 4.5% as you and I talk. It's probably going lower, but I think, again, there is some more upside potential for oil. And so I think a lot of people are really pricing in, gloom and doom, and I don't think they should be doing that right now.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after the break.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company. with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, Amazon stock hit $1,000 for the first time. You said tech was attracting all the money instead of going into other areas where it might be profitable. When something like that happens, is that bright light shining just too attractive? Everybody's a moth going to the candle?
I would think so, but then I look for value, and I'm not finding value in much of the tech stocks right now. There are some values, but, I do think money is chasing money there. You know what money is also chasing? Bitcoin. I mean, we can talk about that for a little bit. And here's the thing, is that the Chinese are raising holy heck over the fact that they think many criminals are using Bitcoin, and they probably are. And so, what if we suddenly saw restrictions on Bitcoin in China? What would that do to the market? I don't think that would be very good. So we'll just have to see how things go there. Money is chasing money in all sorts of ways. It's a very speculative, loosey-goosey market, and I think that a correction would not be surprising really to anyone. Even though, the VIX is really low, even though we're seeing complacency in the market. When that turn comes, a lot of people will just roll their eyes and say, well, I saw that coming. The problem is, of course, trying to see exactly when it will come. I had a guy send me a chart today saying that the NASDAQ 100 is actually tracing out the same pattern as the Dow did pre-crash in 1929. But the problem is that if you believed his chart, there was still 4 months of that market going higher, and it goes up like a rocket. And so I'm thinking, well, who wants to miss out on 4 months of that? Maybe I should be buying the NASDAQ 100. So if this guy who was a pessimist is right, we have another 4 months of rearranging the chairs and stuff before things go wrong. It's really, really hard to predict these things. I actually posed a question to a bunch of analysts that I speak to on a few times a week, and my question was, what can go wrong that no one thinks will go wrong? Now, my answer was Bitcoin. Most of them didn't have an answer, because you can't really predict black swans. But I really think that people are in a complacent mood, and that can go wrong in a handshake if things turn for whatever reason. Geopolitical. Those stupid North Koreans keep firing missiles, and every single missile they fire, by the way, is another step down the path toward their own self-destruction. They really need to cut it out. But what if they hit Japan? What happens then? I think you're going to see a freak out like no one's ever seen, simply because of what that would mean. And so there's a lot, I think, that can go wrong in an overpriced market like this. Obviously, it had way too much easy money for too long. The bill will come due, and it won't be a bill that many people want to pay.
Well, one of the problems with cybercurrency is that, yes, there's a limited number of Bitcoins out there, but there's nothing stopping people from building Bitcoin Junior and Bitcoin Plus, another cybercurrency. So there's really no limit to what can go out there.
Exactly. I was just reading. I only read the headline and first paragraph, so I really needed to drill down into that. So I hate to repeat something where I may have it wrong, but this one guy was saying there are now more cybercurrencies than there are real currencies. And isn't that, that's exciting in a way, but it's also just goes home to the point you just made. You can keep creating cybercurrencies from now until the cows come home. And of course, there's always the risk of theft. We've seen that. There's always the risk of loss because your ex-wife throws your hard drive out. There's a lot of things that can really go wrong. And, it's hard for things to go wrong with my gold and silver. And here I'll sound like some leprechaun with his pot of gold. But I really sleep safe at night because of what I have. It's really hard for things to go wrong in that. I like silver more than gold right now for a bunch of reasons in that article I sent you. But that doesn't mean gold is a bad bet either here. And it can go a lot higher as well.
Well, with a name like Sean Brodrick, there's nothing wrong with that pot of gold, is there?
I was going to try and do an Irish leprechaun accent, but yours is better than mine.
It's from visiting the relatives in Athlone in the middle of Ireland.
Oh, okay.
You pick it up after a while. Right there in the dead center of Ireland, is the fine city of Athlone. Used to be the blue jeans making capital of the world at one point.
Yeah, I've been to Ireland a few times. It all depends, mainly business areas, and they're always having one thing or another going on, and like first they were really poor, and then everyone was really rich, and then things went wrong and they get poor again. So it's kind of the waves sweep over that island. Lovely place, lovely people. I hope things work out for them, but certainly they have some things that cannot work out for them sometimes.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
Keep informed. Receive our weekly recap of thought-provoking articles, podcasts, and radio delivered to your inbox for free. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage, HowStreet.com. Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, palladium and platinum, are they getting beaten up?
Well, palladium is not, it had a big pullback in May from that really nice high it made, but now it's heading higher. But a report just came out today saying this is pure speculation. Someone is buying a lot of palladium because they think it should be going higher, but there's really nothing to back it up. So that's probably a story that's going to end badly, because that source I saw that from is actually pretty good. So I wouldn't be betting on palladium a lot. Platinum, honest to God, this is a rare metal. What is wrong with platinum? Now, of course, we all know one thing, which is that platinum is what they use to control emissions in diesel engines, and it turns out that every one of these clean diesel engines has been a complete fraud. That's the latest charges we saw against Fiat, right? Is that they're in the same boat as everyone else. And so, platinum's having a horrible day. But it is a very precious metal. I mean, they don't make a lot of platinum, and some of the platinum that is in the market comes from South Africa, and believe me, you don't want to invest in a mine down there right now. So, I just can't believe the way platinum is getting beaten up, but then I'm not a buyer of it either, simply because I see so many other opportunities, especially in the metals space. Let's talk about zinc. Zinc looks good. People have been predicting that it's going to have a good year, and it is having a good year. It's really doing well, and a lot of this is the Chinese recovery. We keep hearing doom and gloom about China, but they keep buying these metals. They keep buying construction equipment. The sale of construction equipment in China is booming. So obviously it is not the dire straits we were warned about by very smart and important people, and China seems to be certainly controlling things. Maybe they aren't going to have the huge growth of the past, but they're going to have growth. And as long as they can keep using industrial metals, things could look pretty good right there. So I like things that are actually leverage to them. Now, I said that, and yet just a few minutes ago I was saying, "Whoa, why buy palladium?" Because we know how many cars the Chinese buy, right? They buy a lot. So, maybe that's one reason why people are getting so bullish on palladium. But I would point out that really, if like smart people are coming out with reports saying there's really nothing to this palladium rally, and you should be careful, you don't want to be the last person left holding the bag. So be careful. I mean, enjoy the run. I hope you make great profits. I'm not in that particular market right now. I don't have a dog in that fight. But don't get left holding the bag when the music stops there.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks very much. I had a great time as usual. My
guest has been Sean Brodrick. He's at uncommonwisdomdaily.com, and also check out Red Hot Resource Millionaire. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Any questions for the show or our guests can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.